Something
Oh,
for
wait,
liquor?
no. There's usually not sound in the beginning.
Or anyone online?
Oh.
Apparently not.
What does it say the audio device is in Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge every time.
Yeah.
I know, I used
think
to watch
every
online
time
and
it's
then
Uh,
sometimes it cut out
What?
a couple.
Yeah.
What?
Huh.
Yeah. Before.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It's better now.
Better now.
Somebody. Even Holger's here, Stephen White is here. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm reminded, I saw him yesterday.
Okay.
But that's it. I know everything.
How's the fam doing?
Lauren's here.
All of our kids are gonna be here for Thanksgiving. We haven't had Megan home for Thanksgiving since like 2017. No.
The new chair.
Yes.
As of September or
Neither of you guys touched this.
Justin.
June. Okay. And it fully reads the minute. I'm from the Diversity, Inclusion, Civil Rights Advisory.
Oh,
Board.
it's back. That was it. It needs to, this cannot be
Got a
read.
couple of them.
Oh,
Okay, I'll watch it. Okay, thank you guys.
I've
Okay,
been following it for
we should be good.
years now.
We think we know.
We haven't won that year.
Two.
Yeah.
Years.
Okay, before we move into the announcements, thank you, Ibrahim, for calling the meeting to order. I just wanted to introduce some new members that are still waiting to be appointed by council or approved by council. But Jessica from the Diversity and Inclusion Civil Rights Advisory Board, and also Nathan online, who took over for Tom, who is from the Board of Park Commission.
So that we don't have a quorum.
No, we do have quorum now.
Okay. So we can't count them.
No, because they're not.
But they don't count towards the total either,
Yeah,
so that's why.
so
it's
yeah.
weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if you guys want to do a quick introduction. Jessica, I can start with you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. In
Hello.
this room, my name is Jessica Maldonado and recently appointed by Councilwoman Maggie Ballard to represent the 6th District for the Diversity, Inclusion, and Civil Rights Board. Other than that, I've just been pretty active my whole life in the environmental community, sustainability community, which people know like who we are. You can see each other around. We've been doing this for decades, so I'm grateful to be here. That's it.
Welcome to the team.
Thanks.
I'm grateful to have a member of the public be District 6 now. Thank you.
And then Nathan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Nathan McClure, coming out of Parks and Rec. My background is mostly outdoor recreation, but have served on conservation corps and Leave No Trace, primarily mountains and out in the grasslands.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I will turn it over to Ethan then.
Sure. Wanted to give you all some updates on the presentations we've been doing, some outreach on the climate action plan. Obviously, it's working. There's a lot of people attending now, which is really exciting to see. We've been to all the district advisory boards except for District 5. They are
I
meeting
heard
right
about
now.
District 5.
Yeah, that meeting ran a little long. They had some zoning to cover and they didn't get around to our agenda item that night. So we'll be going back in November to officially present there. Russell talked at the bicycle and pedestrian board for us, so appreciate you being able to make it there. It was at the same night as a couple other district advisory boards. I don't know if you wanted to add anything from there, but.
It was a good discussion. I'm sure I wasn't able to, run through all the details of the plan as effectively as you guys have, but I was able to present it all to them. Had some good conversation about e-bikes and, the role that can play in, building up certain points in the plan. They were very broadly supportive of it.
Good to hear. We also tabled at Open Streets. We had a few members from SIB table as well. I think we're missing one, but anyway, if you guys wanted to add anything from your time tabling at Open Streets, feel free to now, but.
It was fun, but it was kind of boring.
What was your, like, what was your tabling like?
We were talking about the climate action plan and trying to get people to sign up, but people, that's not a really good venue, just saying, because people are going really fast and they want to get by. And if you don't have anything for them
Or
to
you
do,
have to have
they run.
something for them to do.
You have to have something
or
for them to
like-
do.
Yeah, like
So,
interactive.
If
fun
we're there
something.
next time, we need to
Yeah.
have something for people to do in order for them to actually stop and visit. Because they just walk by, they look over and then they walk by. So, but it was fun. The people who did stop, that was great.
And
We had
also,
some really
like,
good
one of
discussions.
the community members, from the committee member, I met him. He mentioned to me that he saw that on the internet without getting back to us, he knows how to navigate and go to the website. He did the survey, This has surprised me,
Wow.
So it
Yeah.
was like, is there like some positive people like what we have right now, They are caring about the city and that's why we are here. And some of the people already did that survey, It was a great outcome, But other than that, I agree with her. People sometimes have tight schedule, But yeah.
Yeah, I stopped by on my.
Yeah.
I rode by.
And I tried to recruit Ben,
You tried-
but
yeah.
he didn't.
I had gotten a flat tire by that point. And I was
Yeah.
done.
What's the percentage or like amount of people that knew about the SIB already and it wasn't their first time hearing about it, or was it the opposite?
What is that?
About the board, like, did people know about it, or was it their first time hearing about it?
During the open street,
Yeah, at Open Street.
so the majority of,
Who volunteered? Sorry, I don't know who I'm
Oh,
looking at.
just Lori.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's too.
yeah, I attended like for 1 hour, and during this hour, I will say like I met maybe few of them, what we are doing, and the rest, no,
Okay.
But the term sustainability and sustainability,
Mhm.
people know what does it mean, how about you?
Yeah, many people were interested,
Mhm.
but may not realize that there was a board.
Gotcha.
But we were also not really there as the SIB, so.
You were.
Well, yeah, but we're told we weren't really there to represent the SIB, we were there to do the climate action plan. That's
then
how
have
I
we vote?
understood it, so,
we
I
vote?
I introduced myself from the SIB every time, but they're like, okay, whatever, what are you gonna talk about? Yeah, so, I don't know how many people know about the board. We don't get out there very much.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then just updates on where we'll be next, presenting the Food and Farm Council has a meeting on the 5th on a Tuesday. I believe it starts at maybe 1:30 in the
I
afternoon,
think
so
it does,
we'll be
yeah.
presenting there. That's
So I
just
can never
across the
go.
street from City Hall. And District 5's meeting is Monday night on the 4th. Haven't been sent the official agenda yet, so that's why it's a question mark, but planning on presenting there. And then I want to give some updates on the responses we've been getting through the survey. Was 167 responses as of this morning. If you go to the next slide. Some of the general patterns in the feedback so far, some questions that have been, if you could minimize the video, yeah. Some people have questions about the purpose and about cost for the plan. That's some of the most common questions, kind of asking about it. There's been some feedback that climate change is fake or that the plan is unnecessary, and it's only 6% of the survey responses have been that explicitly. There's areas for people to write in those responses or other responses that they might want to give. So that's just to give a broader idea of kind of the response rate there. In terms of people's top environmental concerns, drought is very much top of mind. Very obvious concern right now. Climate change was number 2, heat was number 3, air quality number 4, and then energy costs, and so like household energy burden was number 5. Out of the options that we were giving, and then there was some write-in answers, but none of those got to the same numbers. In terms of the focus areas contained in the plan, this is the order that people rank them: natural resources, energy, buildings, transportation, and waste management. That was the order there. And then in terms of priority goals, so ranking the goals that we kind of talked about in the plan, drought preparedness was top concern, followed by tree canopy, renewable energy, transit and transportation access, and reducing waste. All right,
I love that tree canopy is near the top. I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
People didn't even think about it until all the action started
You can go
about
back
that
one.
topic. So I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, board, any questions right now? I'll wait until we close the survey at the end of the year to kind of give a full report back on all the results, but
So it ends at the end of the year.
that's the current plan, is to close it at the end of the year. I would expect that we would do a follow-up survey in the future. This probably will not be the only survey.
I would like to make a comment on the third point, you know. Drought is outcome from the climate change, you know. The main driver for that is the climate change, like you elevate the heat, you know, evaporates the water. That's why we have this current problem right now. And heat, climate change, most of the main drivers for what we have as a drought in the city.
Okay, awesome. Moving on to an update, I'm gonna pass it over for Sophie to give an update on the energy efficiency and conservation block grant.
Yeah, so hi everyone, especially since we have some new faces. My name is Sophie Salat and I'm a Department of Energy Fellow. So I'm supporting the city of Wichita as they administer a grant from the Department of Energy, an energy efficiency grant. And so we have a few projects that we're doing with this grant. So number one, we're doing a retro commissioning of the WPD animal shelter to reduce its electricity and natural gas usage. And actually just yesterday, we opened an RFP to request for proposal to find a vendor to complete that retro commissioning for us and give us some energy efficiency upgrade recommendations so that we can make the best use of our funds and make the best reductions to the electricity usage in that building. And then, so our tentative start date for that vendor to start that retro commissioning process, we're looking at about January, that is tentative, so that timeline may shift. And then our next project is we are sub-granting half of the EECBG grant to the South Central Kansas Economic Development District so that we can supplement their weatherization assistance program. So they provide weatherization services to low-income residents in Southern Kansas. And so our EECBG will help eliminate deferrals to that program for Wichita residents.
And does that not also include kits for renters? That was the big thing that we focused
Yes,
on.
yes, we did meet with, so we met with the representatives from SCED a couple weeks ago, and we did bring that up as well. So yeah, most of the EECBG funds will go to eliminate those deferrals, but some of it we do want to allocate towards weatherization kits as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the third project is to improve the energy efficiency of the stormwater pump stations in the city of Wichita. And so, going back to SCED, the update on that, we did meet with them and we have started drafting the contract with them so that we can get them the sub-granted money.
That shouldn't take too long though with them, we
Well,
took less
yeah.
time, the whole RFP thing.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be like a couple, because we have to, create the contract and then it has to go through, the whole approval and like procedures and everything to go through all the city
Yeah, it will have
processes
to
and
go through
everything.
council.
Yeah,
Mm,
That in and of itself is about a 4-week process.
okay.
yeah. So it will be a little bit, it will be a while until those funds are actually available to SCED, but
Just be nice
We're
to
working
have it
on it.
before it gets
Before it gets
really
cold,
cold.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that contract probably won't be ready to go by.
Mm.
We're hoping probably about January as well, so. But
Okay. And is there part of that money gonna be used for marketing of that program?
That is up to SCED. They asked that question. So they get to kind of choose because they also asked the like admin costs. So some of that will go to like their admin costs. If they choose to use some of it for marketing, I do know their deferral list is already pretty long, so I don't think marketing will need to be done in order to use up those dollars. But it is up to SCED to choose how much they want to allocate
Yeah,
towards
I'm
that. We
just-
do have goals and metrics as to how many homes we want done, so it's up to
Yeah.
them to try and balance that versus what their needs are.
Well, and I'm just thinking with the specifics for rental properties,
Mhm.
those renters don't think they qualify.
Yeah.
No one who rents thinks they qualify. So that's the marketing I was thinking of, is reaching out to that population so that they understand that they can apply.
Yeah.
I do know when they do their weatherization giveaway, they do like provide information for weatherization for when, renters, which, as we talked about, does go through neighborhood resource centers. Hopefully that, some of that messaging will get out to them as well.
All right, and then.
Stormwater.
Yeah, sorry, did you cover stormwater pumps yet?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Well, yeah, I kind of jumped around a little bit. So our third project for EECBG is to improve the energy efficiency of these stormwater pumps in the city. And so initially, our project included an energy audit of those pumps and then upgrades. So we kind of get an idea about what needs to be, or like what upgrades we could make to make those energy efficiency differences. However, we actually found out that the city is already doing a general assessment of the stormwater pumps, and that's going to include an energy audit.
Okay.
So we are adjusting the scope of this project to allocate all of those funds towards upgrades, and that way we don't have to spend the money on that audit as well.
That's awesome.
What is the timeline for this project, for the pump energy efficiency?
So for that one, we will receive the results from that energy audit and assessment at the end of the year.
End of the year?
So at the beginning of next year, we'll get another RFP put together we'll kind of decide exactly which projects we want to do and upgrades we want to do, and then we'll put together an RFP
Okay, that's
for
great.
that at the beginning of the year.
Everything's happening in January.
Yeah. All right, and then finally, we do have a new website for this grant, so to kind of talk about all the projects I just mentioned. And as as time goes on, we're also trying to hope to put some updates on there as well to kind of show the progress.
Sure.
And again, my contact information is also on there, so if you ever have questions about this grant or how the projects are going, you can feel free to reach out to me as well. And yeah, you can just find some more information about each of the projects, and there's a little FAQ. And if you have other questions that you think, people might have about these, yeah, let me know.
If you're looking for this page, if you go to the sustainability main page, it'll then be housed under the city's sustainability efforts tab. So on the side as well, you can open it up and it'll show up there.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. You know, I always ask about that.
Don't want to hide it.
I was getting ready. I was gonna say something, but you got it.
Are there any other questions about EECBG?
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
And then we'll go over to updates. Ibrahim, did you have any updates?
Yes, so during October, we started with the open street, with my colleagues, and we have been able to have secure like 4 hours total time frame. And we have some interactions. And also early of this month of October, I had a meeting with Mike. And I did discuss with him my
City council member,
city council member, yes.
Mike Hoheisel. Okay.
Yes, exactly. I did discuss with him our plans we discussed before about how we can fight climate change. And in terms of the floating solar panels, And he did talk to the public works team, about that. And the idea sounds attractive to them, so they don't use land or other stuff. But one concern came from that is mainly about is a question like this: are there any contamination and the problems coming with the floating solar panels? So this is something required kind of evaluating the previous projects, especially I share with you there are some projects around the world and in California. So I need to get back, make some calls, see any reports came out from this. So I would like to have maybe some committee, if you're okay with that, just targeting this particular project, if we are okay in terms of environmental impacts, in terms of the key performance indicators where we are, we can start to make a proposal and get funded for this, This is the first update. One of my other action items, as a big message for all of us, we have to cut the potable water consumption for non-potable water applications, If you see our household, we have 2 different water streams coming out. Black water coming from toilet flushing, and other than that, it's called like gray water, coming from the washer, dryer, sink, all this stuff, So the concept is called like decentralized gray water, treatment. So in this case, if you have any expansion for new project in the city, for commercial or housing buildings, so we start to make the decentralized concept, and the giving that we can minimize the stress on the city of the water, and every community has its own water, like internal use, They can use this water for non-potable water applications, like for irrigation, for other gardening stuff, whatever you need, So this is like another way to conserve water and minimize the stress on the water, So the concept is not a new concept. It's very simple, we just need to make separation between the gray water and the black water. And after that, have kind of physical or chemical or biological treatment. And all this, we can do it, So in this case, we can have kind of a decentralized tank for this water. So the idea which I proposed to him, he conveyed that to the public works team. Also kind of interesting to do with that, So I would like also to make maybe a subcommittee members working on that. So this is what I have from him, I have cost numbers for that, but maybe by next meeting, I can make a presentation, share with you the work scope, deliverable items, key operating parameters, key performance indicators, and all this stuff. So this is something, we have to handle with. And again, when we talk about sustainability water, if we don't conserve water, there is no life, there is no business, this is what we have, and the issues we have for the Cheney reservoir is mainly about heat. You evaporate the water, where the water goes, where it's dropping. No, if the water dropping, it will do underground water. But the issue, water evaporation, So we need to stop this evaporation by having this floating solar panels. So these are two updates I have, I have like 2 action items coming from these updates, is under discussion, under evaluation. We have to establish 2 subcommittee members, work on that. And also I need to make a presentation next month on November about the concept of gray water as a decentralized concept, But I will stop here, someone from the team, from our community need to add something, I'm really open for any discussion you might have, guys.
I was just sent an article today
Okay, good.
on Big Spring, Texas.
Mhm.
From toilet to tap, Texas
There
town
we go.
makes the most of its
There we go.
owned
We're
water.
online with what I said.
So exactly, this is perfect
We're online,
timing.
yes,
So I
yes.
need to send that to you so you can send it to everybody so they have an idea, so they understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, yeah.
So were you looking for these subcommittees to be formed today with?
We can take time during
Yeah.
now till next meeting, I will work with Liz and Jason, how we can make maybe like a Google form or something, People can sign up, I'm interested in this or that, something like this. I will take the most of the work, but I need different eyes with me,
Mhm.
can guide me or something like that,
Be 3 or 4.
I would
people
say
most.
3 will be great,
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
For each subcommittee?
I will say minimum 3,
Mhm.
I will be on both of them, but at least we can have different point of views, get access to different information.
I did have the question about like, where are we sharing things like that? Like, for instance, your presentation a couple months ago, slides, or do you just send things out, or is there a shared drive that's already established?
There is
or-
not, that would be against Quora.
Okay.
So I can't make a shared drive. So usually what happens is, if someone wants something dispersed to the group, I send it and you guys cannot reply all, because that would be against Quora or COMA violations.
Right.
So usually I just kind of send it out to everyone. And then if you're under the majority, if you're meeting, that's not an official meeting, so you can meet. So like subcommittees, they don't have to have like minutes or anything like that.
Yay,
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
that's wonderful. We loved that, although we did when we were meeting, so.
Yeah, this might be
So
something.
if you want the old, if you want the
Good,
previous
good.
presentation, you'll have to send Liz a note, just an email saying, hey, can you send it to me?
So I have to get it through you.
Yes.
Mhm.
They'll pass slides or things that was, okay.
Yeah, well, all the past slides, I mean, they should be in the videos and stuff of everything we've presented here. They should be on the videos online.
I know, but I want like hard copies of this, or like print out,
Print-
something like-
I can send you some. I probably wouldn't print any out just because paper waste, but I can send you the slides previously. Yeah, if you want, whichever ones you want. I will say this is our first time using a presentation kind of like this, just to follow the agenda, just because we had a few items on there. So unless we had an actual presentation, there were no slides.
Right, well, his presentation a couple weeks ago,
Oh, yeah, for
talking
sure.
over some of the ideas he has right now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, that'd be good.
Some of them with Liz, and the other is mainly like internally within the city members, you know. Like I drafted around 11 action items
Mhm.
to fight climate change, you know. It has kind of cost numbers, but I can share it with Liz and she can give it back to you.
Cool. Wonderful.
You have other questions to ask?
Nope.
From the public, any comments?
The article you just spoke about
Mhm.
from Texas, where'd you say it was from?
It actually came from a professor at WSU. I don't know, I'd have to try to open it up again and see where it came from.
You had said a city, I believe.
Big Spring,
Spring,
Texas.
Texas.
Ironic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big spring. We
They live up water in Texas and they don't have a spring anymore. There is no spring there anymore.
That's what I think.
No spring in there anymore.
Okay. So this is my key updates, the chair updates, and let's move on. Yes.
Okay, board update. So this is a section of the agenda where someone who is on another board can share any updates that they might want to bring. Ben, you're closest to me. I'll start off with you. Do you have an update from transit?
Yeah, transit, we had our last meeting, mid-October, yeah, we just continued, we did a groundbreaking of the multimodal center. That was exciting. So just west of the baseball stadium. I mean, it was ceremonial groundbreaking. They said they're gonna do like infrastructure work under the site right
So
now
like
for a
just
while.
bare ground.
Yeah, it's gonna be, they said there's not gonna be much to see for a couple weeks, but so that's exciting. There's a ton of sustainability. I mentioned before, there's a ton of sustainability aspects to that center. And so we're calling it the hub.
Okay.
So
I saw
that's the
that.
buzzword. It's the hub.
Mhm.
If you want, the site is just west of the baseball stadium, in Delano.
The big empty lot.
Big empty lot that's
Yeah.
currently covered with like big gravel.
This will be
Okay.
over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Over that
Yes,
way.
yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's see, I mentioned the climate action plan, and that transit was included in that. There wasn't any sort of a formal presentation. It was just like, hey, here's the other board I sit on, here's the update. And so I know staff there is very very, I wouldn't say overworked, but very busy. And so they probably didn't necessarily reach out to Liz and Ethan to schedule a presentation. So here's what it is. So that's my update from
So
transit.
when you are meeting, like every.
It is like, it's every month.
Every month.
It's like, it's at the transit center. It's like the second Tuesday, or don't quote me on it, but yeah, it's once a month. And it's, down at the transit center, just south of the arena, on Waterman. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Russell, do you have anything from Bike Ped? I guess you guys already gave us an
Yeah.
update. Okay, sounds good. Jessica, did you have an update from the Diversity Inclusion Civil Rights Advisory Board?
In regards to this board? Or just
Yeah,
in
maybe
general?
anything that's relevant, and if not, that's okay.
Just I guess one point of notice is that the Wichita Reparations Coalition ordinance has put forth reparations to look at, an ordinance to look at, and just within that is, historically environmental hazardous areas, and so when we're thinking about our cap, just that's in there as well. That's all I got. Let's see, what else? That's about it for now.
Have you guys on the board had any interactions with the Heartland Environmental Justice Institute at Wichita State?
So I don't know what they've done as a board, really, that like in regards to environmental, I'm just new there, so.
Okay, anyway,
But I'll find out.
because there's a member of the Wichita Bike Ped Board who also works on the Heartland Environmental Justice organization. Is there? They obviously, it's a grant that they have
Environmental
received.
justice, right.
It's a grant that they received, I believe, from the DOE, but maybe it was,
EPA.
I think
They're
it's
part of
EPA.
the
it was
EPA.
EPA. Yeah, and they launched, the Heartland organization, oh, it's like probably 2 years
Couple of
ago.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but they're, or I mean, I guess at least the, Adrienne, the member of the bike ped board who works with Heartland, she's one of their communications people. I have the impression that, they have some new leadership, or at least, kind of a new initiative. They were very interested in making contact, with people at the different community boards to see if there's ways in which, some of their plans overlap with our agendas. I gave you her email address. So were you aware of her? Were you aware of Heartland?
Yes, we've reached out to Heartland before. We actually work with Heartland for the CPRG application. Michelle Haven, she was with,
Michelle DeHaan,
yeah,
Yeah,
she
I
was
could be
with the
Michelle.
Heartland. I forget, because some people from the WSU's center moved over to Heartland, so I think we're contacting them in the middle of that transition. But after that, we've been in contact with them, just not specifically Adrian.
Okay, all right, well, anyway, so they're another player out there, and I don't know, what they may be able to contribute in terms of expertise or resources, but, they're interested in being part of the conversation. Maybe they hadn't been as much in the past, and they seem like they want to be, so.
Okay.
Scott, you're the one on top of my screen, so if we have an update from the Stormwater Advisory Board.
We haven't met recently. I think the last meeting we had was in June. Not a whole lot of new news has been introduced at this time. Most of the stormwater regulations have been codified and just accepted in our stormwater manual. So we just take things. I think we're talking about having fewer meetings. We had 4 meetings a year, and we might only have 2 meetings. So that's I think I expect to have a meeting before the end of the year, but that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Would it be helpful to have information there about the project that we're working on? For
Yeah,
the stormwater? Would that maybe be something they would be interested in hearing about?
I
Or do they
think
know
we
about
would.
that?
I think I know for sure that the city staff that oversees the stormwater pump stations, they're knowledgeable about it and they can present on it. But I'm sure other members would like to hear what is being done with the energy audit, at the pump stations. So I think that should be something discussed, and I'll suggest that with the secretary for or the chairman for the board.
Yeah, I know Troy is actually the one who brought it to our attention that an audit was going to be done, and they were making sure that energy efficiencies were included in that. So we can definitely talk to Troy and get Renee to maybe get on the agenda.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and then Nathan, do you have any update from Parks?
Parks is working on a master plan as far as getting ready to possibly put it out for an RFP to see what parks should look like in the next 15, 20 years. I know that they've been trying to reduce water usage, but still be able to maintain parks and golf courses because they are revenue generators for the city. Only question I really have today, and I kind of missed asking it earlier, for that climate action plan, what happens if we don't hit 1% of the city responding to the survey? Is there a certain cap that if 1%, 0.05% of the population don't respond, is it worth it? Are we gathering enough statistical data points to accurately represent what the city wants instead of just maybe 200 people respond? Is there a number here to get appropriate statistics for the population as a whole? I hope that makes sense.
I will say that I set that 1% goal. I thought it was a good goal for us to try to reach. I know that a lot of city surveys don't get that number of responses. So really it's up to you all if you think that's a legitimate sampling, or if you would want to continue getting survey data from the public at that point. So Probably just something to think about.
You have how many now?
Responses, 167 as of today.
1% of the population is 350? 400?
We were going for 400 responses. I
400?
don't know. I don't know if I said 1% today, but that was.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we're almost halfway there. Just, I don't know, and I know that, I've learned this before, that, posting things on social media is so tight, because there's so many things, so many departments that want to post. So, but has this been on the socials, and will it be again?
Yes.
But where else can we market besides socials? Because some people aren't on socials.
Yeah.
Where else?
Well, it's not like it's gonna be on
Well,
television
so-
or anything.
I got kind of a dumb question here. Isn't City of Wichita like 350, 400,000 people?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's around 400,000.
Yeah.
So 1% should be like 3,000, not 300.
4,000, yes. 4,000.
Sorry, I don't know where the 1% number came from, Nathan. I didn't
Sure.
personally, say that. I just was going for 400. So maybe not 1%.
So 0.1%.
0.1%.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where the 1% was said.
Do you think 400 is an adequate response from the community to understand what they're thinking about this plan?
I wouldn't want to be the one to make that judgment necessarily. I would leave that to the Sustainability Integration Board to see if they want to get more responses or not.
So what is the time we have to have a final draft?
There's no set deadline on this at all. I mean, this is just deadlines I've proposed and that you guys can,
And do we have budget if we need to make good marketing for this plan?
there's no budget for marketing unless you choose to allocate the funding you have previously allocated differently. So I think there's currently funding allocated to the multiplied rebate.
Yes. There's not a lot left in there.
I
Okay,
have something like, let me share something with you, like, how many they are working in your city, in our city?
how
As
many people?
employees, yes.
I couldn't tell you.
Over
Over a
40,000?
Over, I think.
I thought it was over 5,000.
And you have like, you have your own internal email system, you know? It
Yeah.
might be easy for you guys to shoot email to everyone has a family. And every family has a friend, you know?
I mean, we're putting it in.
Send the
the-
email, you know, for everyone,
In the.
just encouragement, you know, not like mandatory or requirements, just a friendly email, you know? If you can fill this form, you know, we appreciate your input, you know, and if you share it with your friends. Is this acceptable? I don't know.
Sure, but we may want to look other avenues as
Yeah.
well. I don't know that you'd only want this to be focused on city employee.
No, this is like a one angle. I have
Get there.
access to the communication system, you know? I have infrastructure, I have email system, I have something to send out, you know? I have this input, you know? I have it in place. It costs me zero, you know? Getting out will cost people time and money, you know? This is what I have in my mind. Is that an answer?
Well, basically doing your part as the Sustainability
Yes.
Integration Board member, we all can get it out that way.
Exactly, yeah.
And this has been presented at all the DABs except for one, so it has been out in the public
And it's been all.
and on the council agenda. I mean.
No, it has not gone to council.
Oh,
yet.
yeah, it's not gone to something.
And it's been in all the district advisory newsletters. We've gotten out like on Randy's newsletter as well. We've emailed it to the people that we have been working on or other organizations. A nonprofit called MAC also put it in their newsletters. So just trying to attack it from a few different angles and trying to get it widespread. I know it was picked up by the Eagle and KMUW as well.
I know,
We found out a week ago, just letting you know, a dozen of us
Mm.
are together, and that's why we're here today, because we're concerned,
Sure, yeah.
so.
I know at Spirit, when we do internal employee surveys, getting like 10% of employees, that's direct
That's a
email.
great-
That's a great
that's a great-
response.
No
That's
set
amazing.
standard for
Yeah.
any
It's
percentage
It's kind of
of,
amazing.
Yeah, that would be.
The city
nice.
Just
doesn't
like-
have the
yeah, I know.
percentage
I
that
like-
we.
yeah, for sure.
Like for time, I know some people from time
So
to time,
any,
they
yeah.
Mhm.
send their face was kind of gifts, cards, you know?
Oh, gift cards.
Encouragement, you know? If you complete that.
So I will just add in now that part of this conversation, I'm actually gonna propose a grant application that relates to this, so we'll get to that a little
Okay.
later on the agenda.
Okay, good,
but-
very good.
Is
Let me ask too, on the city of Wichita's website, those little things that go past when you first come onto it,
Sure,
the little pictures, is it one of those?
I do not believe so.
Can it be?
Can it be on the
Don't-
homepage slider?
I don't think
Maybe
so.
we'll find
I
out.
think,
Somewhere.
I think it's reserved right now for drought messaging.
Is it on like the forum? Is that still a thing that?
Oh, I mean, it's not on there. I don't
Or is
know
there,
that
do
we
we have
got
a new
it.
current site like that for the city?
I'm not sure if that will
But-
reach a different audience than we're
Yeah.
currently reaching with the outreach we've already done. I think if you guys have different connections you want to be messaging out to, that's great, avenues. I don't know that more city avenues is gonna reach different people than what we've already reached.
Yeah.
Like a billboard? And that's
Mhm.
money, okay, all right.
Money's the
move on.
thing,
Okay.
yeah.
Cindy, did you have an update from MAPC?
She's not hearing you or.
Was it off?
Well, the screen was off, but it
Oh,
was
okay.
still green.
Hey Cindy, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, awesome. Did
Yay.
you have an update from your planning commission?
I don't. I have advanced plans meeting tomorrow and planning commission tomorrow, so I don't at this time.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
That sounds like that's always gonna be a conflict for us then, probably. If their meetings are always the day after hours.
Yeah.
She can always report on it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
What happened at the previous one.
Just to keep a hold of all that stuff until
Some
another,
buffer time, yeah.
another month.
Yes, do you have any question, guys, before we move on?
I would like to apologize for getting the minutes out late. I forgot to send them out with the original email, so I do apologize. I really hope you guys got a chance to take a look at those.
Yeah, so let's send out the meeting minutes to us. Do you have any comments on that, feedback?
Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's just look at it. quick.
Yeah. I should have looked at it when I got it and I didn't notice anything
Sophie
that I
Taylor,
thought was a
Eva,
problem.
The new grant that was available October 15th.
They did not release it as they said they would, so it is not open yet. A different EPA region has opened their sub-grant program, but our region has not.
Okay.
So I'll hopefully be able to update you guys at the next meeting in November that it's open, but we shall see.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Any corrections or anything to the minutes, you guys?
And blankly, I move to approve the September minutes as written.
Oh,
Okay,
one
second.
second. Okay. Gonna say
Was that
Thank you,
Russell
guys.
or?
Was that too quick?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
We have to wait? We
So
can
Ben
wait.
Perez,
No.
Okay, thank you.
And if you wanna have the
You'll vote.
vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably ought to vote.
Yeah.
We do need a vote.
Vote.
You can say all in favor,
All in favor?
say aye.
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 All opposed? All opposed?
All passed.
Say aye.
Aye. My first time to share, you know, so it's here with me.
Is there anyone opposed to the passing of the minutes? Okay, perfect.
Right.
Okay, Ethan, back to you.
Yeah, oh, did we skip the? Yeah, well, our
Yes.
presentation that was gonna be on the drought was postponed due to a conflict for who was gonna give the presentation. But I figured I'd give some updated numbers. Cheney, as of this morning, was 54.22% full. That's 8.61 feet below normal. And just a reminder that stage 3 restrictions are triggered when the 12-month rolling average is below 50%. I think last month, the rolling average is at 66%, so we would still be probably about 12 months away,
So we're okay.
12 to 18 months away from stage 3 being triggered. And that would all just depend if it kept going down below 50%, it would have to be at that point for a while. That way we're not going back and forth between the two stages. That's why we use that rolling average is one reason for that. I could take any questions real quick. I don't have all the answers. I would typically send people to the website for more drought updates.
Well, and I just read, I don't remember where, that it's actually, the water restrictions are working.
Usage is down quite a bit.
Yeah. So that's good.
And we're almost out of the growing season and watering season. So
Yeah.
outdoor irrigation should be down.
Right. Mine starts at midnight. So I have to put my hose out under my tree and do my tree this
Oh,
week,
your
and then I'm gonna do
timers
my
are
other
your-
new tree next week. Yeah, I just let it run real slow overnight.
Listen, based on the historical data, did we hit stage 3 before?
We have not, this is the first time this drought plan is being used. It was put in place after the 2013 drought. This was developed. Oof. Oh, question over there?
Often are rain barrels encouraged?
We do offer rebates for rain barrels.
Right, but I mean,
Are-
like to the general public, I mean, do you guys try to advertise that a lot or promote that?
The rebate program, yes. So I would say we definitely advise people to be looking for ways to conserve water, and rain barrels would be part of that.
I think that Mike, what she'd be asking is, rain barrels are not provided by the city. They are rebates so that you can
It is
purchase them from
basically
private
full
contracts.
cost.
Yeah, but you're not actually involved in procuring them and making them
No.
available.
No.
They're a private product
Right,
that
yeah.
you have to buy, and you can get full
Right.
rebate for them, but we're dependent upon the manufacturers of them.
Yeah. No, I have one, I understand. I just wanted to know how often you guys promote those so that people can use their rain barrels to water their gardens, you know, water their trees, water their, yeah.
I just wanted to mention that I believe it's Clean Streams.
Wichita
that-
Clean Streets.
Wichita Clean Streams who provide rain barrels at cost. And I spoke to Becky and she says, she told me last time that they plan to do it again in the spring. And
We'll deliver
you
it
have
to
to
your
be
door?
available to order them when they're available. And that, I put that in my newsletter before. But I bought 4 rain barrels and it's great and good cost.
What was it? Can you say the name? again?
Wichita Clean Streams.
Okay, thank you.
We bought ours from a gentleman in Riverside, I believe it's Wichita Rain Barrels. I met him at the Farm and Art Market Right. downtown. Yeah. Yeah. So I just was wondering how often those are promoted. Cause those are a great thing for watering gardens,
Yes.
watering trees, Uh-huh. watering shrubs. That's not nearly enough for a tree, but I only have It- one.
It can be helpful though.
But it can be helpful.
Yeah.
And isn't that fund exhausted now,
The water
the
rebate?
water rebate?
I believe there's still money available.
Is there?
You'd have to check the website to see the amount, but I think it was still about half full. last
Really?
time I looked.
Oh, okay. What did I see that was, oh, it's all the other, it's the power equipment, all that kind of stuff that's out.
Yeah, the lawn care rebate.
Yeah, the
Yep.
lawn care rebate,
Oh,
boom,
yes,
that was
been
gone.
exhausted.
That was gone in a flash, yeah.
All right, and then I also wanted to bring an item for discussion for you guys. It's this EPA, the full title of the grant is the Environmental and Climate Justice Community Change Block Grant Program. They shorten it to Community Change Grant, CCG, or I've used the EJCC grant as well. So there's a few different names because it's such a long title. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. If it will let you. Okay, all right, there we go. The application for this program is due on November 21st. So currently I'm planning to bring the application in front of the city council on the 19th.
Last minute.
Well, that is grant applications in a nutshell. And there is no city match required for this, so this would just all be federal funding provided. It would provide for my position to continue working, which would be nice.
That'd be awesome.
Like
And
RFI
so-
or RFP?
Huh?
RFI or RFP?
We use both. So first we had an RFI, a request for information, looking for possible nonprofit partners. As one of the requirements of this grant is a nonprofit partner. And it's gotta be a partnership, so it could be 2 nonprofits, it could be, like in our case, a city and a nonprofit, but one of the 2 has to be a nonprofit, so we went out for, first a request for information to see what, groups would be interested in possibly submitting proposals, and then we did a request for proposals process that wrapped up last month, end of last month. We were able to make the final selection, so we're gonna be partnering with the Climate and Energy Project, and we are also hoping to make some subawards to Destination Innovation, Progression Partners, Salud Mas Bienestar, and Sunflower Community Action, to all be doing work on the proposed grant program. The programs will focus on engaging low-income and disadvantaged communities in Wichita, with government processes, gonna be focused on relations to environmental issues and environmental regulations, but generally just getting those communities more involved in government. and also specifically advertising the climate action plan and getting their feedback on it. The idea it would still be in development through this, so there would be no passage of the plan by city council at this point. It would just be working to develop it further and keep gathering feedback. The length of the grant is up to 3 years. The project schedule, it will be decided later, but I do have another slide here. I think I have a few more. Yeah. So these are the main project focuses. That map is one I've been using as well in our climate action plan presentations, but that's the EPA's data on low income and disadvantaged communities in Wichita.
That's most of the city.
It is quite a bit of
Honestly,
the
yeah.
center part of the city, especially it's 45 total census tracts. Our project would probably be focused on the north end where there's quite a bit of environmental justice challenges currently faced, and also areas of legacy pollution. So finding ways to make the local government and then also state and federal government processes easier, because the EPA and KDHE have different jurisdiction on some of these things. We'd be providing workshops, so I would be the only staff position at the city funded through this. Most of the funding is going to be passed down to those nonprofits. The city's just going to be in charge of some of the financial management, making sure that funding is spent according to federal regulations. But workshops in these low-income disadvantaged communities, anybody would be able to attend these. They would just be focused on reaching low-income disadvantaged communities. So educating on those processes, gathering feedback for the climate action plan, doing some community research, trying to see what people's feedback. So, if we're still at this lower number for feedback responses to the survey, this is another option that if we get this funding, we'd be able to do more community feedback, and then integrating this learning and feedback with the sustainability board, with the city staff and with city council, offering these learning opportunities as well, and more connections with low-income disadvantaged communities, so that they're more connected to government processes, especially here in Wichita. And then another part of that would be, if you guys approve of all this, we would want to create a subcommittee under CIB that would be able to kind of continue this work going forward, have these direct conversations with, so a few members of CIB on that, members of the public would be able to join as well. The selection process would need to be decided as well with you guys, but any kind of subcommittee like that has got to be going through CIB and voted on. I don't think the bylaws that you guys have currently elaborate a lot on subcommittees, but we may want to look at kind of codifying that process, especially if you're looking at making a few as well, Ibrahim.
This would be great for us. I like the club, but if it's acceptable to share the number, what is the budget you are targeting for this proposal?
Yeah, so the proposal has to be between $1 and $3 million. We're pushing up right against that $3 million mark, so it'd be really close to that is the requested funding.
And this over 2-3 years?
It'd be 3 years.
3 years.
And just for everyone, and your question earlier, as of August 30th, the $50,323.54 remain in the rebate program. So you can all get a rain barrel or dual flush converter kit and get a whole list of things and get rebates.
But not a shower head anymore.
Oh, that one they didn't. that's
Not
just
on
them.
there anymore.
There is a few. Yeah,
Should have done it all the
things
years
removed.
before.
Never, I know. Oh, well.
Yeah, sure.
Is that 1 to 3 million just to educate people?
A lot of it will go towards staff for some of those nonprofits. Some of it is going towards, let's see what some of it will go to direct participant support costs.
Workshop,
Some of it, yeah.
gathering feedback.
A lot of it's going to the nonprofits we'll partner with for them to carry out those workshops, yeah, and education.
Partnership.
And they're educating them about.
Well, education and feedback, it wouldn't all be, it would just be education about government processes. So how it works and how they could be more involved, how they can join things like these citizen advisory boards. It would definitely have to be more general in some areas, but some of it would be more focused on environmental issues. So if they're dealing with things like poor air quality in the area, how can they let their local leaders know? How can they push for change in things like regulations if they're seeing things like poor air quality, or if they're dealing with issues like some kind of Superfund side or like legacy pollution, how do they make sure that the EPA is listening and that these multiple levels of government that can be quite complicated, especially in terms of environmental regulations, can they navigate those to push for what they're interested in seeing changed?
What kind of nonprofits do that?
Yeah, so the ones that that we're gonna plan to partner with, there are a few different, focus areas, so. Well, there are a few different areas of expertise, I'll say. Destination innovation, I think, focuses a lot on civic engagement, and I think right now they're doing a lot with voting, getting people out to vote. Salute
And
Must Be a
criminal
Star
justice
is,
reform,
oh, yeah.
youth criminal justice reform
Okay.
as well.
Salute Must Be a Star is more of a health organization, so they're a Hispanic health organization, mostly working in the north end of Wichita area, and so they're more health focused, so they would probably apply more to that air quality and those kinds of issues. Sunflower Community Action, they've worked on a variety of issues, so I wouldn't put
That
them
was
on
kind
here,
of
but
the
they've worked.
status quo.
Yeah, they've worked on a lot of different things. Federation Partners, they're a newer organization. They are more equity and inclusion focused, and like they worked with a lot of school districts on developing plans for how to promote equity within school districts. As some of their work. So they've got existing connections with Wichita school districts as well. So we tried to bring in people with a lot of different experiences and try to reach as many different groups as we could with this. They've all got different community connections already in some of those areas that we showed on that map. They've already been doing work in those areas and they know people that live there already. They are people that live there as well. So that makes it a lot easier on our end to actually get this money and this support out to the people that need it in that way.
And you need to add something to top of that, like when we drafted the climate action plan, the city laid down different action items to take, you know. Some of them about water conservation, waste management. All this requires public input, you know, public contribution, you know. We can make this on the paper, you know, but if as a city members, as a city residents, if we didn't get inside this action plan, it will stay on the paper, you know. That's why elevating the awareness of the community about what is coming up to us, this is really, really important, you know. We can talk many presentations about we need to recycle, we need to make a recycling, you know, we have to conserve water, you know. But as a committee, we know that, you know, but when we get out, we few percentage of the entire city population, you know. That's why awareness is really important. I did participate for other projects, you know, but this project was very successful as we have kind of demonstrations like pilot plants, you know. When you have something outside this room as a demonstration, so the people around us, what we are doing this, conserve water, or we are trying to have air pollution control. We don't need to use this refrigerant. We need to use this or that. So this is really important. You take this to your family members, take this to your friends, and you start to host this concept. I think it's part of work scope, right? You try to achieve through the fund. So yeah.
Where did this originate from? Where's
The
the driver of this?
the grant program or
Of all of this climate change, where did it originate? Who started it?
I'd say like I'd say like 45 cities in the nation right now have CAPs. So it's just
Well,
like the.
are you asking
standard
about like
kind of that's forming
Who brought this here to Wichita?
Here in Wichita, I
Why
have
is
a
it
question too.
So let me ask you a question. Do you like it or not?
No.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet. I don't know, so I'm learning.
Hey, Ibrahim, do we want to wait for public
Public
comment?
comment?
I think
Yeah.
we're almost there. so-
Yeah.
So I would then, I'm putting this application for the board to basically say that you approve of me submitting this to the city council.
Please.
So I would
Yes,
ask for a motion.
yes,
of-
Yeah, so moved,
I-
please.
I think we do have to do public comment before you guys can move.
We do?
Yes, you have
Okay.
to open each item in the agenda for public comment.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no other questions from the board?
Talking about this
Is it-
grant
Yeah, about the
application.
grant, yeah.
Yes,
So
grant.
this is the agenda item we're on.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
public comments on the grant. Okay.
I just want to make sure the board doesn't have any more questions or comment before we move on to public comment for this specific item.
That's pretty good. A lot of information. Thanks, Ethan.
Yes, thank you. Did you see something from the people on the Zoom? They have write something to us?
Let me make sure there are
Yeah,
no.
everybody's on there.
For this particular point?
Oh,
Oh. Okay, that's cool.
Can I ask a few questions?
certainly.
So I'm curious, and I've asked the city these questions before. Have you verified with these organizations that they're operating like nonprofits, that they have board members actually in place, that they're running like a nonprofit organization? And that they don't have past financial
Yeah.
issues?
Yeah, we've
I know what
definitely
you're
checked
talking
with them and we've
No, exactly.
verified their nonprofit status, definitely.
But what about their board?
Um,
Have you
I'm
looked at
guessing
their
not
boards
sure.
at all?
I've
Okay.
spoken with all of them
Sessions.
directly. I'm just, because I'm not sure what you're getting at, Cindy, like their board.
Well, so my concern is, and of course, I know more about the nonprofits in this community than most people because of my work with the Kansas Alliance for Nonprofits and my prior work with Kansas Nonprofit Chamber. And so I would there's at least one of these nonprofit organizations that I would have concerns about being a part of this grant application. And I know that's the city has in the past tried to partner with organizations that have had some real issues as far as not operating like a nonprofit, not having board members in place, which is a requirement of a nonprofit organization, not having good nonprofit structure in place, not having checks and balances for managing finances in place. So I just want to check in and make sure that the city has done their homework in regards to making sure that these organizations are operating using best practices, because that's always concerning for me, especially because I'm often familiar with those that aren't.
Okay, and then I would note that if we do run into issues with any of these groups, we are able to easily shift that funding. We're not entering into contracts with any except for one, and that's a partnership agreement. It's a strange contract. It's only related to the grant. It's not related to us actually giving them money outside of that.
How were they established? Or how are they
The
chosen?
actual nonprofits, or
Yeah.
I guess I couldn't say they filed for IRS nonprofits.
No.
I don't know.
They file for articles of incorporation, then they get an EIN, and then they go file a 1023 or a 1023 EZ. But before they do that, they need to have board members in place.
Then my question was, how did they get involved with the grant with us?
Oh, they responded to
Okay,
the
was there a call for?
request for information. These were all responders,
Okay.
or they were already speaking with one of the people that did, one of the nonprofits that did respond to it.
How long was it open for?
So the RFI was open for 3 weeks, and then the RFP was open for another 3 weeks.
Gotcha, thank you.
So that was, yeah, July and then September and a little bit of August.
Thank you.
Later when we get to public comment.
Cindy, I believe I probably know which organization you're speaking of, and I share that same concern.
Yeah, it's a huge concern because I did consulting with the organization in the past, and I continue to kind of check in from time to time to find out,
Cindy,
what's going on with the organization. So I have a lot of red flags.
If you're comfortable just saying which organization you mean, you can.
Sunflower Community Action.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're concerned about their financial.
Lots of red flags.
Yes.
Okay, and that is one of the collaborating entities, as the EPA has had it titled. So if they are unable to perform to the expectations of the grant or to handle any of the management expectations, they can be removed easily and either shifted in a new partner. We would request proposals for that likely, or
Not just that, but do they have checks and balances in place regarding managing finances and making sure that finances are going to be spent appropriately? I mean, I think there's a lot of questions that the city fails to ask when they work with these nonprofit organizations. And I lots of stories about one organization that one person that ran an organization into the ground and stepped away, and that organization lost funding from the city, but that person went and started another nonprofit organization that the city has been dumping money into. And I'm just like, that's really scary for me, because I don't think the city overall is doing a good job of assessing what nonprofit organizations they should be partnering with and whether or not they're using best practices, checks and balances regarding finances, Are they actually running with the board, or is there one person that's controlling the organization that's profiting off the organization? Because there's a lot that goes on with the nonprofit organizations, and I happen to be privy to a lot of that information because of the work that I do with them, but the city's not often checking into those things to find out, is this in fact somebody that they should be partnering with?
So Cindy, thanks for your input and sharing all that with us. Based on your experience, would be okay to share with us like a list of checkbox items, so we can share that with Ethan and his team,
But I would say as part of the RFP process, when these nonprofits, because we are only going to go under contract with one of those, which is the climate energy project, they did have to submit financial information. That was part of our criteria when we were interviewing them as well.
Okay.
So the other ones, as Ethan mentioned before, are collaborating entities that will not have like the requirements of a collaborating entity are different than the one we're actually going under contract with, which is just climate and energy projects.
CEP is large, well-known, based out of Hutchinson, but they do have people here too. And I've been involved with them for a long time and known about them. They're a reputable organization. But I share the same concerns about Sunflower.
Okay.
Because of their history.
I can definitely.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns about CEP. I don't have any concerns about Destination Innovation. That's a good, strong nonprofit organization that's operating the way it should be. I'm not familiar with Progression Partners, Salud Moss Vinstar. They're a great organization. I actually helped them get started, and I know that they do great work, and I train them on how to run a nonprofit. But Sunflowers, again, lots of red flags.
All right. Well, I'll definitely look at that again and discuss that with our partner on this.
Don't say that I said that. What goes on this room stays in this room, because I hold a lot of nonprofit
You already
information.
It is public now.
It's not just Cindy. I mean, they're
Well,
pretty
yeah,
well
Lori,
known.
Yeah, yeah.
They're pretty
yeah.
well known.
Certainly. Okay.
Okay, so do we want to?
Do you have any other question from the board?
Public?
Yeah, we'll go to public. If there's no other questions from the board, we will go to public comment
Yeah.
about this
let's go to
item.
public.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what is the mission and the goal and, the outcome you're expecting from this grant? As far as the education piece and how would the nonprofit, play a part in this?
Yeah, I have to go back and look at exactly the specific ones we're listing out, but I know that a few of them are number of participants we're trying to reach. We're gonna, obviously create a climate action plan draft document to propose out of this. There's obviously some final reports to produce. I guess are you like outcomes also related to just continued involvement with local government and a greater knowledge in the community of how to interact and the ways that they can make change?
Okay. I mean, you're trying to reach, low-income communities. What's the education piece that you're trying to, convey to them?
Like what's the content?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's the mission?
Yeah, no, the mission's all around, and this grant's specific focus is on how to engage with governmental processes. How do things like this board work? How can you get involved with them? How can you interact with city staff or city officials in ways that are going to lead to change? What are other avenues for you to push for change on things, if it relates to federal or state problems as well, if it's their regulations that are at play? Yeah, it's mainly focused on how to interact with them in ways, kind of solidify that relationship. But things like creating a subcommittee on this, focus on those related environmental justice issues that are around pollution, air quality, water quality, things like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I used to work for a nonprofit that got grants. And we had to submit all kinds of financial paperwork. They knew every penny that we spent. Somebody was looking at our papers. Because there are only certain things we could spend that money for. So not Just, I mean, within that group of income. There's ways to do this, and I am really surprised that Wichita doesn't sit on them.
Doesn't
Sit
work.
on the people, the nonprofits that they're giving money to. That's an easy job.
Sorry, what do you mean sit on them?
Audit them,
Okay,
hold them accountable for where they're spending. Is this anywhere say what these companies can spend their money for? And
Yeah,
then is anybody gonna look at their books and see if that's what they're spending their money for?
yeah, so
Because they would have caught the other people if that had not been the case, I would think.
I can't speak to the other part of that was talked about, at least with this grant specifically, the EPA has a ton of regulations, as you mentioned, they're gonna be auditing, they're gonna be looking at this. So it's gonna be,
The EPA is gonna be audited.
yeah, it's their money that we'd be taking from this,
because
so,
That's where you're getting the grant.
yeah, so
So
it
they're
would be
gonna the
federal
audit, not the
regulations.
city.
We would also be making sure, I mean, we're responsible for passing this grant money down, so we're also gonna be monitoring this, so that would be myself and then our finance department as well.
I'd be curious to see what that they have, what the guidelines are, and if they have guidelines set in before they're allowed. I mean, do they know what they're really getting into? Do they know what they're gonna get money for? I know at one point you said staff. You know.
Yeah, oh yeah, we have a whole budget laid out for each of them. EPA categorizes it, yeah, a lot of it will go towards staff, but there's also things around outreach materials. A lot of that though is gonna be handled by the city and by Climate Energy Project, which are the two most, I would say, financially capable of managing that federal money. These other organizations are smaller and they either have very little experience with federal grants or only limited experience. So we wanna kind of ease them into it, make sure that they are spending on appropriate things, and that we're helping them with that paperwork as well. That way, this can be a good experience. Yeah.
Why are you only focusing on them? On the lower income and so forth?
Oh, that's a requirement of the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I ask my original question that I got shut down for is who originated this? Where did this come from?
Well, I guess I have to ask a clarifying, what is this your friend? Is it the climate action plan? Is it the grant? Okay, the climate action plan.
But
That
that's
started with
really
the
not
board.
the discussion item, so we have to stay on the discussion item currently.
There's a public comment period.
Yeah.
If you want, okay. At the
I don't
very
think
end.
we knew that. Were we supposed to be asking questions on all these other things? Cause I didn't know we were supposed to be asking.
No, this is the first discussion item. The others were announcements and updates to the board.
Thank you. We're all new here.
Totally.
So the goal of this is to educate these low-income community residents, correct? And get their opinion as to what they think about the climate action plan?
Partially climate action plan, also governmental processes, how to be involved in local government. And these will be open to everyone. The focus is just on low income disadvantaged communities, because that's what the grant directs us to focus on, but we're not gonna shut down people's participating in it.
These low-income communities to get opinions on this climate action plan, you're not getting a representative of the whole community. You're just getting low-income, not getting a full representation from the city.
I mean, a majority of the city is characterized as a low-income and disadvantaged community by the EPA.
Well, we wouldn't only take feedback from
No, I
them,
know,
of
but you're
course, but
focusing on
well,
these because it's
Now.
grant.
yeah, the
Yeah.
grant does. I would say that our other efforts are very open to everybody, and we're not necessarily gonna target anyone with this first effort. At least based upon the responses, it does seem to be mostly white people responding, which aligns with the city's demographics as well, but we're not getting very many responses from non-white members, so we would like to focus on low-income disadvantaged communities as well. I don't have a lot of data on like if this is reaching low-income disadvantaged communities or not at this point, but that's just the language in the grant. I don't think we're trying to target anyone specific outside of that.
Russell, did you have something?
Since the grant proposal is actually a rather focused and partial element of the larger concerns of the board, and since it seems like there's a lot of people here that would like to talk about the larger concerns of the board, and since we are going to run out of time soon, could I suggest that we approve the grant application so we can close this topic so that we could go on to public comment so that everybody could participate?
Yes.
I would suggest that we approve with the with, you know, the appropriate emendations in regards to concerns over some of these nonprofit entities be approved so that Ethan can go forward in presenting it to the city council to see what they think about it.
Yes, but if there is still public comment, we can't just shut down public comment.
On this topic.
On this topic.
On this topic.
Yeah, so I.
But if we get past this topic, then we could go on to the
Yes.
things that I think a lot of people here actually do want to talk about.
Yes, exactly.
So I propose that we support this with the emendation in regards to the nonprofit entities that have been discussed.
I have to wait, we have to wait until public comment is done before we can make a motion.
Are there other comments about this grant? From the
We have 11 minutes before we are
The library
done,
closes.
and the library will be closed in less than 30 minutes.
Does this mean that if you approve this, that means it's moving forward?
Yes.
We will take it to council. Council still has to approve it. This is just getting,
More level of discussion again.
Yeah,
Just
before it would get
about-
submitted. And then if we are selected for award, it would come back to the city council for approval of us actually accepting the money. So
So this is-
it'll go to council twice after this if we do actually get
Any
funding.
more dabs? We'll go to any more dabs at all?
The grant won't, the climate action plan, if you're worried about that part, I expect it would go back to DABS at some point, because I don't think we have a final draft right now at all, so it would definitely, future drafts would come back to DABS.
I'm just so confused on why you're, just as what she had stated about focusing on the lower income, because not everybody in Wichita is considered the lower income, so.
But many of us all.
Seems the map showed to us as majority under this.
Well,
justice.
where's the breakdown there? Are you talking about 100,000?
Like why it's
less?
necessary or? what is
100,000?
the-
That's just for the
100,000.
grant. The climate action plan is something that we want to get input from
Yes.
everybody on. The grant is just about using some EPA money, if the city council approves it, to reach out to a few distinct populations.
But it steers towards this, right?
And other,
climate.
and other development and
It was
being in
supported,
city government like
not
Ethan
the
had
entire
mentioned
money
it
was-
earlier.
It's just related.
And who determined that it would go to low income?
The
As
EPA.
opposed to
That's their,
Because
that's
the
their
EPA
focus for the
says-
money. That's what they want to spend the money.
This is a proposal scope, not something from the city.
It's what the EPA wants to
It's
focus
the
on.
Right.
requirements, yes.
Correct.
Right.
The environmental impact on low income communities. Okay.
if there are no other public comments, Russell, your motion still stands if anyone wants to second the motion.
Can I get a little clarification on the amendments that you're requesting with this?
There were specific concerns about one of the nonprofits that are included.
Would you
in the
like me
list.
to just do more research on that and determine based off of that, or would you like them to, are you suggesting that they be taken off of the list?
I would definitely suggest that per Cindy's information that we look closely at that particular one and make certain that it meets all the standards for allowing a
And I can-
nonprofit partner.
I can update at the November meeting then as well, because this will be before the city council meeting, the next
Okay.
meeting.
It's really great.
I can come back then.
Okay.
I
We
will
have
just-
another question behind you, Ethan.
uh,
Yeah, turn the other direction.
One more.
Chair, you got this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bank, it's a process question. So if I understand, you're just approving, you're approving the process for the grant application. The grant application has to do with information that we're trying to get into lower income communities? Or does it actually relate back to like working with SCED and having a certain amount of money for winterization and installation as part of the grant money for that? I think that's probably your area. Is that different than what you're doing and what you're approving here?
Yeah, this one is
Yes.
That's my
Yes.
assumption.
Yes.
So, okay, so this is really very narrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Just process questions.
Yeah, that other grant is already in place. We already have those funds. This is a different grant.
And that's how I understood it. When you come time for open comments, understand that the clock is ticking.
Sure.
So there may be some questions.
Okay.
We appreciate that, thank you.
Are there other comments from the public? Once, twice, 3 times, we're good.
Then blank by a second.
No
Okay,
bids.
second.
No bids.
Mhm.
For a
Um,
vote.
yeah,
All those in favor?
yes, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
All those opposed? Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
So now we'll end up with the public comments, right? Get more comments?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, this
Uh,
public comment is open to anybody for any item in the agenda. Usually you would have 5 minutes. I'm gonna lower that down to 3 to try and give more people time to talk. We do have to be out of here by 7:45.
So yeah, go ahead.
I want to just state that I appreciate the work the Sustainability Integration Board is doing, and if anything, it still feels to me like there's just band-aids when really the patient is, bleeding out of multiple open wounds and needs to be triaged. So how well do you feel supported by the city council and the mayor in your efforts currently?
District 6 is cool. We're supported. I mean, I think there's openness to do more. I know there's lots of active neighborhood associations we could get involved with and stuff like that. So
Some of the city council is supportive, some of the city council doesn't care. As you know, I'm sure.
Mixed bag.
Yes. It's a long process to do anything with this city. Very long process, we have found. So it's gonna take a long time to accomplish anything, but you're right. It pisses me off that we're not moving faster. It's time for us to do some action, and we're not. Everything takes forever. We can't afford to wait.
especially as the largest city in Kansas, we have an opportunity to be a leader and not falling behind, and as well as constant droughts, not just in water shortages, not just here and in the United States, but all over the world. So be ahead of it.
Is that your only question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there other comments or which ones?
I want to ask my original question.
Yes, you have.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so where did this originate from?
What is this?
Where is this being driven from?
This
The
what?
climate- The climate
This
change,
climate
the
action.
climate. The
So-
climate action.
The climate
plan.
action plan.
The whole reason we're here.
I just want to mention before whoever else jumps in is that 100 of the largest cities were examined and 58 cities have a CAP. So,
Who suggested this committee form?
There were groups of people that came before the city council requesting that some kind of sustainability board, in order to take a look at developing a climate action plan, like many other cities have. They came before the city council at least 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times. Eventually, the city council agreed that it would be a good idea to form a board to start developing a climate action plan. That was finally approved, what, a year and a half ago? More than a year and a half ago? How long has this board existed?
2021, maybe?
It's not that old.
end of 2020.
End of 2021?
2021.
Okay, so it was approved by the city council then, and the climate action plan that exists has been the work of the members of the board, drawing upon input from all sorts of different constituencies. There are DABs, different boards that they're part of, like the transit board, the bicycle pedestrian board. So that's where it's come from.
I will add to that, that within the SIB code that was put into ordinance when this board was established, climate resiliency planning was included as one of the purposes of this board. So it's written into the founding code of the board.
And that's all on the website, on the Sustainability Integration Board website.
And why we are doing this, if we didn't conserve water, if we didn't protect the air, because our future generation, this is all about the water now. We all know that our main source for the water for the city is Shini Reservoir, and this one is dropping in the water level, And also our underground water just kind of contaminated with the salt, you know? So I'm moving to desalination in the future, if we didn't protect that, you know? So if we don't have water in the city, you don't have life, you know? This one, like one particular problem, as you asked me, you don't see this is important now, but I would say it's important, you know? This is just one angle to look to the problem. Air pollution, global warming, major issues, you know? Add a lot of stress to the environment, you know? We might not see this right now, you know? I have data from researchers spent lives, years and years to prove that, you know? There is a problem. It's not coming. We have a problem now, you know? And you can see what happened in Florida and others. All this globally change, you know? What happened is many tornadoes and all this stuff. Water evaporates, condenses in the atmosphere, make all these tornadoes, you know? This is coming from climate change. CO2, global emissions, CO2 also make a global warming, you know? You know, one plastic bottle, we have it, it takes up to 450 years to decompose, you know? You can imagine, CO2 can stay in the atmosphere for 13,000 years to get back to the ocean and absorb, you know? Yeah.
Here, I didn't know it was back here.
It is.
What is that?
It is. You're wearing a drought.
Oh,
We have-
drought, but is the drought really?
Yes, we've got.
It absolutely
There's
is.
a-
Here, guys,
I'm just sharing
for
some-
public comment, I think we should just take comments and
Yeah.
we're almost out of time, so we just gotta take responses now. We're not gonna respond back.
Okay.
Any other comments or?
No.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess couple of process questions. I understand that you're meeting on the last Wednesday of every month, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for in November and December.
Yes, those are different
Right.
times.
Thank you for getting ahead of me. I have a question.
Yeah.
November and December, are you not meeting or are you just changing the date?
Just changing the date, like next month, we are meeting on the
This
13th.
Second Wednesday each month,
yes.
isn't it? The
Yes, to
second
count for the
Wednesday rather
holidays,
than
so the
fourth.
second Wednesday in both November and December.
You're still going to meet then? So
Yes.
it's second Wednesday of November, the second Wednesday of December, and then of January, then you're moving back to the last day. And so when would you anticipate, you mentioned how slow everything seems to be moving, and I understand that. Some levels doing things with the state that are similar to what you're doing here, and just move incredibly slow sometimes. When would you anticipate the city council actually taking action on all of the plan, or they include portions of the plan? What's the, are you talking about it 2 or 3 months, 2 to 3 years, 2, 3?
We don't have funding. So our funding comes from grants, and that is what she's working on. Those 4 different items, it all is gonna come to a head around January, it looks like, for all the different items we had talked about. So for the stormwater pumps, for the animal shelter, for SCED, all of those are gonna be coming forward in about the end of the year, the beginning of next year. So it's just a few months off, but we've been working on it for
So
a
that's
long
very
time.
narrow part of the whole
Quick
process.
answer on your climate action plan specific question. There's not a set date at this time. It would be months in the future. There would have to be consensus here that there's been enough feedback gathered. If that grant goes through and we receive funding for that, that might push it back, but it would be a directive of SID. I don't think they've set a date at this point.
Okay, thank you. You gotta work on certain things like this with the state, and you always wonder how the people gonna know when the legislature raises taxes or lowers taxes? How are you gonna know when a regulation gets enacted or gets taken away? Always wonder, how does the public know? So back to, I think it was Mr. McClure's comment.
Your attention, please. The library will close in 15 minutes. If you have books or other items to check out, staff are available near the self-check stations to assist. Please save all documents and complete all printing at this time. Thank you for visiting the Wichita Public Library.
Yeah, I will close it now.
What?
We are done, right?
Yeah, you have to, you have to say, I didn't join the meeting.
No more questions? We are done.
We're
right?
at,
Yeah.
okay, would you like to join?
So, yeah, sorry for the interruption, Jason, but we are,
Order.
it is the time. And we'll start the meeting, and thank you so much for your comments and for coming, okay?
Please
Thank you.
come again, you guys.
Yes, please.
Don't